Imagine accidentally leaving reality itself. No warning, no explanation. One moment you're standing in the real world, and next you're trapped inside an endless maze of empty rooms, illuminated by fluorescent lights. No windows, no exits, and no people. Only the constant buzzing of electrical lights and the feeling that something else may already be inside with you. This concept became known as the Backrooms. What began as a single unsettling image rapidly evolved into the internet's largest collaborative horror universes. Over time, the Backrooms expanded into hundreds of interconnected levels, populated by hostile environments, survival groups, and entities. Some of those entities stalk silently in darkness, others imitate human behavior, and several became some of the most recognizable creatures in modern internet horror. Backrooms first appeared online in 2019 after an image was posted to an internet forum. The image depicted an empty yellow office-like environment with fluorescent lighting and stained carpet. Attached to the image was a fictional description suggesting that under rare circumstances, a person could accidentally no-clip out of reality and enter an endless labyrinth hidden outside normal space. This concept spread rapidly across online communities. Part of the appeal came from how familiar their environment looked. The image did not resemble a fantasy world. It resembled a real place, an office building, a hallway, a forgotten commercial structure. This familiarity became one of the defining features of Backrooms horror. As the concept evolved, online communities expanded the lore dramatically. Additional levels were created, each containing unique environments, hazards, and survival conditions. The Backrooms eventually developed into a massive collaborative universe containing hundreds of levels, fictional research organizations, survivor groups, environmental anomalies, and hostile entities. The specific entities in the mythology reflected some themes such as darkness, paranoia, imitation, isolation, and loss of identity. And over time, certain creatures became central figures within the Backrooms. Among some of the Backrooms entities, the most popular are Smilers, Skin Stealers, Partygoers, Hounds, and Facelings. Each contributed a different type of horror to the Backrooms universe, and together they helped transform the Backrooms from a single image into the internet's most recognizable horror concepts. Among every entity associated with the Backrooms, Smilers are considered one of the most recognizable. Their design is extremely simple: glowing eyes, a large grin, and complete darkness surrounding both. Despite the simplicity of their appearance, Smilers became one of the defining symbols of Backrooms horror because how they're typically encountered. Most sightings occur in environments with little or no lighting, maintenance corridors, electrical tunnels, and industrial sections, areas where visibility is severely limited. According to several interpretations of the lore, Smilers avoid bright light entirely. This creates a constant dependency on artificial lighting during exploration. Many encounter reports begin with flashlight malfunctions, power outages, or transitions to darker sections of level. Unlike aggressive pursuit predators, Smilers are often portrayed as observers. Several archived stories describe wanderers noticing glowing eyes in the distance, only to realize moments later that the entity had moved closer without producing any noise at all. This behavior became one of the creature's most unsettling characteristics. The fear does not come from direct violence, it comes from randomness. Several interpretations suggest Smilers intentionally stalk their victims before attacking. Some reports describe encounters lasting several hours while the entity maintained visual contact from a distance. This prolonged observation creates psychological pressure rather than immediate panic. The creature's design also reflects one of the defining characteristics of liminal horror: minimalism. There is no detailed anatomy, no visible movement, only a face emerging from darkness. The lack of visual information forces the viewers to imagine what may exist beyond the smile itself. And in horror, uncertainty is often more effective than explicit detail. Skin stealers represent fear of imitation. These entities became especially popular within the Backrooms community because they introduced social paranoia into the mythology. Unlike most backroom creatures, skin stealers resemble humans from a distance. Their bodies are described as humanoid forms covered in loose human skin. At first glance, many appear to be ordinary wanderers. However, closer observation reveals abnormalities. Common descriptions include delayed reactions, unnatural posture, distorted facial expressions, irregular movement, and inconsistent speech patterns. Several interpretations of the lore suggest skin stealers learn through observation. This allows them to imitate basic human communication well enough to approach victims without immediate suspicion. The introduction of skin stealers dramatically changed the survival dynamics of the Backrooms universe. Before entities like these, danger was usually environmental or visually obvious. But skin stealers introduced uncertainty between survivors themselves. In some stories, safe colonies reported developed verification procedures to confirm whether newcomers were actually human. This concept contributed heavily to the popularity of the entity because it transformed ordinary human interaction into a potential threat. The fear associated with the skin stealers reflects a broader psychological concept found throughout horror fiction: the fear of something pretending to be human without fully understanding humanity itself. Partygoers are considered one of the most psychologically disturbing entities in the Backrooms lore because they rely heavily on contrast. Most entities associated with the Backrooms inhabit dark or industrial environments. Partygoers exist within spaces designed to appear welcoming, and these entities are commonly associated with level fun. A level depicted as endless party rooms filled with balloons, decorations, tables, bright colors, and children's entertainment imagery. At first glance, the environment appears harmless. That false sense of comfort is central to the horror. Partygoers themselves are generally portrayed as yellow humanoid entities with exaggerated smiles and simplified facial features. Unlike many aggressive creatures, they are often depicted moving slowly and calmly. This creates the impression that escape is already impossible. Several interpretations suggest partygoers convert victims into additional partygoers. As a result, the entity becomes associated with themes of assimilation and loss of identity. Their communication style also contributed to significantly boosting their popularity online. Archive messages frequently contain distorted greetings, repetitive invitations, celebratory language, and emotionally detached friendliness. The horror surrounding partygoers does not come primarily from violence. It comes from the realization that the environment is pretending to be safe. Hounds introduced a different form of fear into the Backrooms: direct pursuit. Unlike entities associated primarily with psychological tension, hounds are immediate physical threats. These creatures are commonly portrayed as humanoid predators displaying animalistic characteristics. Descriptions typically include elongated limbs, exposed teeth, abnormal posture, and erratic movement. Several survival guides classify hounds as highly dangerous due to their speed and unpredictability. Encounters are most commonly reported within industrial or maintenance-themed levels containing long corridors and limited escape routes. This environmental design increases tension by reducing visibility while restricting movement options. The popularity of hounds came largely from pacing. Many backroom stories focus on slow, atmospheric dread. Hounds introduce moments of sudden panic and chaos into the mythology. Several encounter logs describe wandering, heavy scraping sounds or growling moments before the entity began pursuit. This created some of the most action-oriented scenarios within Backrooms horror. Facelings represent one of the clearest examples of uncanny valley horrors within the Backrooms universe. These humanoid entities are characterized by completely featureless faces, no eyes, no mouth, no visible expression. Despite their appearance, many interpretations portray facelings as passive, rather than aggressive. They often wander levels silently without directly interacting with nearby individuals. This behavior creates discomfort through abnormality rather than violence. The concept connects directly to the uncanny valley effect, a psychological phenomenon describing the discomfort humans experience when encountering something almost human but not entirely correct. Several versions of the lore divide Facelings into adults and child variants, while adult variants display more unpredictable behavior. Unlike aggressive entities such as Hounds, Facelings contribute primarily to the atmosphere. Their presence reinforces recurring themes found throughout the Backroom: emotional emptiness, distorted familiarity, identified loss, and isolation. They make environments feel occupied without making them feel alive. The entities of the Backrooms help transform a single unsettling image into one of the internet's largest collaborative horror universes. Each creeper represents a different form of fear: darkness, isolation, imitation, assimilation, loss of identity, and uncertainty. Together, these entities establish the atmosphere that now defines modern liminal horror online. And as the mythology surrounding the Backrooms continues expanding through analog horror projects, found footage storytelling, and collaborative online lore, new entities continue emerging across the internet. But despite constant additions to the mythology, certain creatures remain central to the Backrooms because they reflect simple fears placed into impossible environments: the fear of getting lost, the fear of being watched, and the fear that something else may already be waiting somewhere inside the darkness.